what you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 39, volume 3 of Big Fan, the number one voted podcast of 40-something males who grew up in Hickory, North Carolina, played sports at the Foundation Center, and listened to R&B in the early 90s. My name is Chad Keith Sweat East, and I'm a big fan of fantasy football draft weekends, last-minute beach trips right before school starts, and putting your Apple Music playlist on shuffle while sitting under an umbrella at the beach and rediscovering that special song you would sing in high school while chilling in the parking lot at McDonald's.
God, that's a mouthful right there.
That's a tongue twister.
My name is Hank Geimer, and I'm a big fan of canoeing down the New River, sipping cold beer, enjoying the sun. Having the ability to turn on ESPN and watching competitive events rather than another 30 for 30.
Mm-hmm.
At least getting to draft my fantasy football team, not knowing if we're even going to have a season.
Yes, sir. And that is what is in front of us, Hank. As you know, I don't know if you've heard the latest and the greatest from the college world of football, but they are so two conferences have canceled, the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. And we are looking at, bear with me one second, and the ACC, SEC, and Big 12 still thinking about playing. What do you think about all this stuff going on in the college world of sports right now, Hank?
Well, it's a political event, man. They're just trying to figure out how to get some of that money. They don't care about the kids. They don't care about anything like that. And, I read a great article talking about how the leadership up there is just so scattered that, they're not making sound decisions. Like they should have figured out, when exactly are they going to play? What can they do? How can they modify it? And, it came down to how they were going to get paid. And I think they realized that they started really figuring out how they were going to do it too late. And now you got kids showing up. I heard, LR had a couple of kids show up to camp. They had it. Every school's having it. That there's colleges that kids just aren't even showing up because they're nervous about it and they don't want to get it. So, you got a program with, 80 kids and 25 of them don't show up. It's kind of tough to kind of work through that. So I don't know. I think that it's a cluster, and I'm waiting for these other sports to kind of lead the way because, I know they're pro sports, but the NBA's kind of figuring it out right now. They're making rules as they go. I saw today on ESPN they're trying to figure out how to vet these people that are coming to visit these players because they need to have a long-term relationship with them, not a short-term. So, they gotta watch out what they're doing over there. But at least they're getting to play, man. And done. I don't know if when college football is going to be back, but it looks like next year.
So as a college athlete, you are one. I was very close to becoming one, but, I just decided to stick with my studies instead.
Sure.
But would you, if you had the choice, and let's say baseball season was getting ready to start right now, and they gave you the choice. All right, Hank, you can play, but under these circumstances with COVID going on, what would you do?
I mean, I'd come to campus, and I would come here. I wouldn't choose not to come to campus, because I feel like the universities are going to be, they're certainly going to be overprotective because of the liability that they hold for these student athletes. So, I think that unfortunately, instead of putting people through the mental exercise, I'd almost want them to bang the sport and be like, let's just regroup after this is done. Because, if you can't practice with more than 25 kids and you can't use baseball, for an example, you can't throw a ball from kid to kid because, you're scared they're going to touch it. A quarterback can't throw a ball to receivers. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Now, the unfortunate thing is if I didn't play my senior year in high school, I wouldn't have played in college, And so you have those kids that are not going to get to play that could have been this is their year. And,
Right.
making decisions on that. I heard the other day that a sixth grader is thinking about reclassifying
A
to sa-
sixth grader.
to save a year. How ridiculous is that? But
Wow.
there's kids out there right now that are in high school that are trying to figure out if they're going to reclassify because they're a junior. They want their junior and senior year back. Which if you're going to make it, you're going to make it. If you're not, you're not. And but I mean, there's some crazy decisions being made right now.
I was talking to one of my buddies today who has kids. School is getting ready to start here in Hickory on Monday. We're coming to you live, as you would like to say, Hank, on a Wednesday. I believe the date is what is the date? The 12th?
12.
Yeah, August the 12th. School starting here for the Hickory Public School System on Monday. And my buddy lives in Raleigh, and he has two twin kindergartners, right? That are getting
Yep.
ready to start school. Can you imagine? So they're remote learning as well. Can you imagine remote learning? Two twin kindergarten boys, never done school before. This is their first time, and their first lesson in school is going to be behind the computer. Does that not sound like complete and utter chaos? Kindergartners remote learning, let alone
I think
twins.
No, I think it'd be terrible. And I actually said the worst parent group in this whole thing would be parents of toddlers through the coronavirus. It would be awful. It would be
Right.
absolutely awful. You could not get enough time away from those kids. But I'm sure those two little twins are going to show up on their first day of virtual class in some mini white case Swiss and in a polo shirt because he's going to make sure that those kids are brought up right.
No doubt about it. You know, uh, so how is Harris handling this? We got 4 weeks of remote learning, then we're going to try to do 2 days on, 2 days off at Hickory Public Schools. I mean, is he cool with it? Is he upset that this is the way it's going to go down to start this is his fifth grade year, right?
Yeah, fifth grade year. He
Fifth
doesn't.
year.
I mean, he's cool with it either way, man. He's pretty easy. I don't think he's looking at it in any way that it's going to be a problem. I think his biggest problem is he realizes that if he's a Monday Tuesday kid or a Wednesday Thursday kid, he's only going to get to see about half his buddies. So
Right.
he's upset about that. But I think that that's about the only thing. He's been like we found out. One of the great things is starting school, and I think you can like mirror this with me is when you find out who your teacher is, your homeroom teacher, and you get that letter in the mail, and you go, "Oh, I hate that person," or "Oh,
Yes.
yes, I love her," And
Yes.
his letter yesterday, and he got a great one. And the three in fifth grade are great, but he has some great teachers this year, and he's pretty jacked. But you remember, I guarantee you had a memory when you were like, "Man, I pulled the short straw on this."
There's no doubt about it, bro. I think about it all the time. I can remember, and you probably can too, the name of every teacher from kindergarten all the way up through. I mean, I don't really remember in high school. I remember teachers, but not like homeroom teachers really, because you didn't spend that
Right.
much time there. But from kindergarten up through eighth grade, I know exactly the homeroom teacher. I remember like whether she was a good teacher or a bad teacher, really based on what the group in front of me would tell me. And if I
Yep.
got, once that letter came in, man, I would say, yes! And I'd get on the phone and call my homeboys to make sure they were in my class. And or if they were not, we would be sad. But, those memories will never leave me. They're very exciting memories.
Yep, and that there's no worse feeling than when you get that bad one and you think, "Oh man, I can't believe I got her." But I'm gonna check with my buddies and I'm gonna check and make sure who I got in my class. And you
Yeah.
call your first friend and he's like, "Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I got Miss Smith, who's the cool teacher in that class, in that age group." Then you're like, "All
Right.
right, I don't want to talk to you anymore." So you call your other buddy, he got Miss Smith, and then she got Miss Smith, and then
Yes.
you realize you're on an island by yourself.
But what's funny is all it would take is you just needed one. You just needed one homeboy to kind of be your wingman when you had Miss Walters instead of Miss Smith. You know what I'm saying? And once you
I
got
know
in
it.
there with just that one buddy, then all you made friends with everybody else in the class, and it actually worked out to be a good year.
Yeah, it did, but there's no pit in your stomach that's deeper than that one.
You know what? I'm going to tell you a story that I don't think I've ever really told anybody. when I was young, in elementary school, I was like a real big, like, crybaby, and I was a scaredy cat. Okay, right? I was
I
really
knew that.
scared.
I knew this of you.
Yes, I'm sure you did. But so it was a rule at the East House. My dad wanted to make sure that we were always the first people at school, and everything we did, we had to be the first person there. So so I cried kindergarten, first day of school. First grade, crying like a little baby. Second grade, crying. Third grade, my dad was like, "Man, you're in third grade now, bro. It's no time for crying. You don't need to cry first day of school. This is your fourth kindergarten, 1, 2. This is your fourth go at it. This should be like easy for you now. All you got to do is show up, go sit at your desk. You good to go. No reason for tears." I said, "Yeah, Dad, you're right." So he drops me off at school. I go into my little cubby. I cried in that little cubby by myself for a solid 6 minutes, Hank, crying like a little baby until
What's
third
wrong with
grade.
you?
I don't know what was wrong. I had this anxiety of leaving my, like, mom or dad, even though I've done it many times. But that first day, it really only took 10 to 15 minutes to get that out of my systems. But I would just have to have a good cry to get all that stuff out. And then I was ready for the school year. However, fourth grade, you'll be proud of me, Hank. No tears.
No
No
tears.
tears. Yeah, it took me to fourth grade, but no tears. Yeah. What's your favorite memory of first day of school? I know last year we talked about our worst memory about getting wedgies in high school, first day of school, but do you have a favorite memory first day of school?
You
Like
know
you got
what?
a new lunchbox, you got that one lunchbox that was the stuff. You brought it to the
I
lunchroom, showing it off. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I do remember, and well, okay, just because you brought that out to show it all, the big thing for I'm sure we're part of this too, is you got to go buy shoes before you went to
Shoes.
school.
Yeah.
You had to go buy shoes, and you would beat up your ones from summer, and they would be just toe up from the flow up. And you'd be at the center playing kickball with them, jumping in the creek in them, then going straight to play tennis. Then after they dry, you wringing them out, trying to get on the basketball court with them.
Yeah.
So I remember one day that the Bo Jacksons came out, and my mom took me
So,
to
one of the best shoes of all time, to be quite
yeah,
honest. One of the finest shoes of all time. Yes.
yeah. She took me to the mall, and I had just graduated from the kid size to the adult size. And so, I didn't get the leather looking plastic. I got real plastic on my shoes. And I kind of
Right.
had a big foot growing up. And when I got to school, them boys were like, "Man, you got adult shoes on?" They had had the Jordans with the fake mesh and all that stuff. And I got the roll in there with the good ones. But that was one of them. But one of my favorite memories, probably growing up, is in sixth grade. When I went to College Park. You would come into school, and a sixth grader going to middle school. You're nervous, right? You're nervous. My
Very.
brother, eighth grade, and that makes you even more nervous because you don't know what those boys are going to do. I'll tell you, my brother is the one time that he ever stepped up and he made me feel right at home. Like right when I got there, like right when we got there, you're all sitting on the stairs together, and the sixth graders are in that like dark corner behind,
Yes.
not want to do anything. And I started walking over there to like my buddies, and they were like, come on, before they kill you, come on, come on. And Jake was like, "Nah, you can sit over here with us. Just come over here and talk to us." And so that did more for my street cred that first year because I hung
Yes.
out with. Now they beat me up every other day after that, but that first day was pretty good.
That's great. That's a good memory. My memory of my first grade of sixth grade is very similar. I had been at this summer camp, and during the summer camp, I think I've described this on the show before. 2 days a week, you go to Cool Park, then you go to Putt Putt and Skateland, and you do all these other things. But there was this guy who came my fifth grade year summer camp. He was a sixth grader, and he was going to Grandview. His name was Carl Sherrill. And what we would do as a bunch of geeks that we would pretend. And this is when Karate Kid, the movie, was really popular. And so, like, I would try to pretend like I was Daniel San and he was like Johnny, or is that, yes, with the leg? Yeah, Johnny from
Yeah,
Cobra Kai. and we would really like. And he would have gear like we put these little things on our fist. What are they called? Boxing gloves, but they're not
Gloves.
boxing gloves. But they're the smaller ones, that karate people would use. And we would have like these
Yeah.
shin guards and these knee guards, and we looked like a bunch of tools. But anyway, we would do karate moves together. We did it for a whole summer. Well, sure enough, I go to 6th grade, and Carl Sherrill is at Grandview in 7th grade, hanging out with all the older people. Like, he knows a bunch of folks. He's just a really nice guy. And I'm walking by, kind of just like you. I was going to go hang out with the 6th graders in this little closet of an area where it's really dark and gloomy, away from everybody, so you don't get your butt whooped. But he said, hey, Chad, come over here. And so I looked at him like, are you sure? Like, gave him one of those looks. And he just waved me over. And before I got there, he said, y'all, this dude is awesome at karate. So he told his whole crew that this dude is so good at karate. Don't mess with him, man. This guy is really good. And so I walked in there like, so you know karate, huh? Dude, I know nothing about karate. I just knew how to do the crane kick from Karate Kid because I tried to be like Daniel San. You know what I'm saying? So anyway,
you think you think when you walked away, he was like, hey, now you can get in a fight with him and he will kick. He will not do anything. I want next person to walk up to him, shove him down, and see what he does.
The only thing this is what they'd say. The only thing you got to worry about, he's really good at the crane kick. Just block the crane kick, and then you got him. That's all. That's the only move he's got.
If you block the crane kick,
you got him. But anyway, that 6th grade is a really important year. My daughter Lucy Rose is actually starting 6th grade, actually on Monday. So she'll be at Grandview Middle School, the home of the Eagles, and she'll be remote learning from. We got to figure out where we're going to set up Olivia and Lucy Rose, but that'll be something we do this weekend because they'll both be remote learning in the same house. They've got their own Chromebooks and all that good stuff. So anyway, hopefully it'll all work out and we'll get through all this mess.
Hey, I hope you got good internet because we've played this game before with you, and you're gonna have all these devices. Come on now.
Well, we just upgraded it. So remember, Moose was telling us earlier about anyway, I did. We upgraded it, so hopefully we're gonna be good to go. Got a new modem through what's the place, Spectrum, and all this stuff, and they increased our bandwidth. So hopefully we'll be good. But we're talking about a mess. That's what the sports system is right now. That's what school's going. That's what's happening. It's just a mess everywhere. This stupid COVID. But dude, can you imagine? You would say this. This is what happened last week, Hank. We had a hurricane and we had an earthquake in North Carolina on the same week. What in the world is going on these days? Hurricane Sunday, earthquake on Saturday. This is bizarre. Did you feel the earthquake?
No, I was out on a baseball field and I didn't feel anything, but it was like immediately after people were talking about it. I mean, I heard it like seconds after. And actually some of the parents said that they did feel it. Reagan didn't go to the game. It was, Sunday morning. She had stayed in. She was laying in bed and she said, my dog just started barking. It's funny how those, animals know what's going on. And my dog just started freaking out in the bedroom, just started barking, going crazy. And she said she felt it. It felt like, a big truck was driving by, but it kept going for a little bit more. But it's crazy.
Yeah, dude. We went to the beach last weekend. Jennifer's folks have a place on Oak Island, and we were planning to go. Our trip got got messed up a little bit because we couldn't go because they weren't letting anybody on the island. So we leave on Wednesday instead of Sunday to go help with the cleanup process. So we're down there at Oak Island. They're on the east side of it, where there's some debris laying around, some sticks, but everything seems to be intact, almost unscathed. But we clean up a little bit. 3 miles down the road, bro, this beach is destroyed. It is destroyed. I mean, the ocean came up and flooded homes that were on the water, knocked down all the sand dunes that used to be 5 foot tall, just leveled them to where they're just flat now. Some homes that were 3 aisles back from the beach, water got so high it would pick up the cars and they were just floating down the road. Washer and dryers everywhere. It was bizarre. So we get through all that, and then it comes till Saturday, and then we hear there's an earthquake going on too. I'm like, man, can this get any weirder? This is the strangest year I've ever had in my life. And speaking of, can it get any weirder, Hank? If you had the choice of living through a hurricane or living through an earthquake, which we did last week, but let's say it was a really bad one and you're right in the heart of it, what would you rather go through, the hurricane or the earthquake? It's a
Dude,
tough decision.
that's a pretty tough decision. I think I'd go with earthquake.
Yeah, because it's short.
It,
Doesn't last long.
it's shorter, but you know, you'd have to get outside. The people that get the worst part of these earthquakes are the people that are in buildings the entire time and they fall, right? So
Yeah.
you get outside, you try to get away from it. The hurricane, man, you walk outside, a blade of grass could go through your head.
Very true. Very true.
Hey, and there's a movie called Sharknado that I don't want any part of a hurricane because you might get a hammerhead that hits you up.
Absolutely. Speaking of hammerheads, so we're on the beach last Tuesday, and there's a couple people fishing. There's hardly anybody on the beach. It was crazy. I guess the hurricane kind of kept everybody away, but it was, after a hurricane, they say it's the most beautiful, right? So it was gorgeous outside. It was like 88 degrees, just a little breeze. It was beautiful. Well, anyway, there's this guy fishing, right? He's fishing, and Livy and I are watching him. Lucy Rose and her mama are looking for shells, and he hadn't really caught anything in a bit. And then all of a sudden, you see him tugging on this line. And he's just shore fishing, I guess that's what they say. When they have, he's got 2 fishing rods. They're stuck in the sand. He's sitting there drinking his beer, sitting on a cooler, kind of just watching them. Well, anyway, watching the fishing rod post. Well, he sees it. He grabs one, starts reeling it in. And Olivia was like, Dad, I think he's caught a shark. And I'm like, do what? And she was like, yes, I think that is a shark. So we walk over to the gentleman. And sure enough, he's caught like a little 3-foot sand shark. And literally, he's just right off the shore there. That's right where we're swimming. We are swimming right there. Anyway, so he brings it in. And he was like, hey, look at its teeth. So he opens the little shark's mouth. And it's little, but he's still got these chompers that would tear the heck out of your like calf muscle, your toe, your fingers, your arm. And so right when he said, okay, I'm going to put it back in the ocean. I was like, all right, girls, we're not getting back in the ocean anytime soon. Little sand shark swimming right around my damn feet. We ain't doing that. Good Lord. So,
hey, you'd probably be amazed at the amount of wildlife that is around you the last time you're in the ocean.
You're right. I just said, just add it to the list. We got earthquakes, we got hurricanes, and now we got little sand sharks that can cause damage. It probably will happen to us this week. So we just kind of steered clear of the ocean after that. But
what would you rather live through? What would you rather live through, the hurricane or the earthquake?
Man, earthquake is short-lived. So I'm kind of like you. I think get outside, get to a safe spot, make sure everybody's good, and maybe last 12, 15 seconds and we're through it. Granted, there'd probably be a lot of destruction, possibility of fire, possibility of a vase falling on my head or something, or a TV falling on me. But I think I'll take that chance rather than live through a hurricane that might last, I don't know, 24 hours, pelting you with wind and rain, and you see dogs flying down the street and stuff. I don't want any part of that, Hank. No part of that.
I'm with you.
Well, while we were talking on our intro, I mentioned about just sitting on the beach, putting on an Apple playlist, just putting it on shuffle, and all of a sudden you hear that one song that you have not heard in a decade, right? And it just brings you back to so many memories. So I got on this R&B kick, and you and I have talked about this before. Probably like the genre of music that means the most to us, even though we like all kinds of music, would be that 90s, late 80s, early 90s, that R&B. That Keith Sweat, that Ralph Tresvant, that new edition, that Bobby Brown.
This podcast is sponsored by Jackson Creative, a custom communication agency located in downtown Hickory, North Carolina, specializing in online content creation. To learn more, visit thejacksoncreative.com. Jackson Creative, we tell your story.
Hank, it made me think. So there were a couple albums when I was growing up that were just pure classics. Like every song on the album was a hit. I want to ask you, if I gave you a rundown of these albums that really mean a lot to me, and I think they mean a lot to you, and gave you a list of some of the songs, the singles that were on this album, if I had to make you choose one, your favorite, what would it be? Okay? You ready for this little task?
All right, let me hear it.
First album is a classic to me. It came around, I want to say this album hit in 19, if you'll give me 1 sec, 1988, okay?
Mhm.
1988. This artist came from a band known as New Edition, and he went solo, and his name was Bobby Brown. He released this album, Don't Be Cruel, in 1988. Hank, the Don't Be Cruel album had such singles as its namesake, Don't Be Cruel, had My Prerogative. It had Roni. It had Every Little Step I Take. It had Rock With Ya. It had, what other ones? It had I'll Be Good to You, Good to You. It had Take It Slow. It had All Day, All Night, baby. So, man, that's 5 or 6 number one songs right there. If you had to choose your number one song on Bobby Brown's Don't Be Cruel album, 1988, what are you going with?
Every little step, man. Every little step,
Oh,
my
mm,
anthem when it came out.
really?
That
Really?
thing was the jam. I told you I saw him in concert, and it was the best lineup I've ever seen. Right? So my
Go
mom
for it.
put us in at the she put us in her station wagon, and it was like all I remember. It was me, and my brother. I think Josh Hall was in there, but I remember Brian Kitchen being in there, and maybe Needles. I don't know. I can't remember. But
Yeah,
we went in there, and the person that opened was Jody Watley. All right. Then it went to
dude.
Rob Bass.
I think I was at this. We talked about this. I was at that
Yeah.
same show.
Then it
Yes,
went
this
to
show was
Levert.
phenomenal.
Then it went to Bobby Brown. And seeing him in
Yes.
concert and doing that song, dude, that's when I kind of fell in love with music, like really fell in love with music. And then, that's kind of the fast paced one on that. I
Yes.
would say that Roni was a good song too, man. I mean,
Before you get away from Every Little Step, do you remember they had a video? And so there
oh
was a
yeah,
remix where
yeah,
he rapped at the end, right?
yeah, yeah,
And in the video, there were these big letters, and he was
yep,
dancing around the letters. They were white. He
yep.
had like a black and red kind of outfit on. Dude, I'll never forget it. That
He had the
video
tilt and
was,
fade,
yes, that fade working. That song was dope. But
fire.
my favorite on that album was Don't Be Cruel, because that's the song that he released for the album. And man, I
Yep.
remember hearing that beat. I was like, what is this coming at me through these speakers? I could not get enough. And so that was my favorite song of all 1988. Don't Be Cruel. And it was my number one song on that album. Well done, Hank. I'm going to hit you with another one. Thriller, Michael Jackson. This came out, I want to say 1982, right? Here's
Right.
its lineup of songs. Wanna Be Starting Something, The Girl Is Mine, Thriller, Beat It, Billie Jean, Human Nature, PYT, Pretty Young Thing. I mean, wow, that's
I can't
six.
even wrap my head around what these are.
Can you believe how many fantastic songs? And they came, that's one album. One
Yeah.
album. So tell me, Hank, out of those that I just listed, what was your number one song from that album?
I mean, if it went production, you'd think Thriller, but Billie Jean has it for me, man. That's one of my favorite all-time Michael songs. I mean, I liked all those songs, but if I had to rank them, I'd put it first.
Absolutely no question, Hank. I completely agree. I consider Billie Jean probably top 5 song of all time to me. It's it was a game changer. That video was phenomenal. Just that song, I can't get enough of that song. When it comes on now, I refuse to turn it off. I have got to listen to it itself in its entirety. Such a great song. So yes, we agree. I'll tell you an underrated one on that album. You know, PYT, I don't think it gets enough credit. I think it's fabulous. And the beat to Want to Be Starting Something is
Yeah,
something else.
it is crazy.
Something else, sir. Yes. All right, man. Good job on that one. This one, I'm going to give you, I don't know if you're much of a Prince fan as I am, but I'm going to give you a
I'm not,
Prince one.
but I love
Yep.
him, but not as big as you.
All right, so we're gonna go Purple Rain, the album songs. They're pretty phenomenal here. So the first song on the album, Let's Go Crazy. Everybody knows that one. It's incredible. Take Me With You, a little bit slower song, very good. Darling Nikki, it was the raunchy one. When Doves Cry, I Would Die for You, Baby I'm a Star, and last but not least, Purple Rain. Now that is a lineup of singles there, sir. What would you take?
I think I'd go after When Doves Cry, man. I love that song.
Me too, man. When Doves Cry, my number one song on that album. For the people that don't know Prince that much and want to, try a little bit of something, go check out Take Me With You, and then go hit a little Darling Nikki. Just make sure your kids aren't in the car when you listen to it, because it gets a little raunchy. But the number one song, I agree with you, Hank, When Doves Cry. So yeah, buddy, that's a quick trip down memory lane, picking our favorite songs from some of the best albums of all time when we were growing up. Good job there, bud.
Let me ask you a question. When you were talking,
Sure.
I thought you were going to go somewhere else with this the like music and that genre. And I was just, I mean, like when you're in high school and stuff like that, and things you think about. And I was thinking of two songs. I heard them this weekend that I absolutely think like kind of like define what when I hear it, I can smell where I was at. I can see where I was at. I can, and there's two songs and they're kind of like one's more upbeat than the other, and one's kind of like real R&B. Um, but do you remember in '94 when Babyface came out with "When Can I See You"?
Oh God, yes,
That's
absolutely.
one of the best songs.
Can
When
I
I
see
heard that song,
you?
do you remember that? When I heard that
Oh
song,
yes.
I mean, it
Go
was
ahead.
when I was a junior, and that's when you start thinking that you got a little girlfriend, you think you a Mac, and you were pretty impressed. I was pretty impressed with that song. And then the 2 years later, after that one, when you're in college and you're at a bar and you sneak in because you got a fake ID, and when Return of the Mac came, you remember that song?
Oh, of
God.
course, of
Man,
course, I remember that
those 2
song.
songs right there, I was thinking of those time frame. I heard them both this weekend, and both times I heard them, I was like, "These things are anthems to, those years."
When you were cruising, like let's say you're in the bar and you're walking up to the bar and that song just happens to actually pop on right when you're walking up there, it almost gives you a little bit more chest to push out, a little bit more bounce to your step. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, here comes Return of the Mac walking up in here. Get ready to
So
get
much.
him a highball from the bar. Here he comes.
Yeah, well, you partied a little bit differently than I did because I was getting a $2 King Cobra 22 when I was going up there because they were about $1. It
Yes.
waited till 11:30 or 11:40. So no, those songs every time. You're exactly right. When you hear that song, you turn around, you be like, "Mm-hmm, I own this right now."
This is my bar. This is my bar, baby. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love that, man. I have the same kind of memories of some different songs as well. And the Babyface song, did it start real slow? It was almost like it was When Can I See You Again? And it
yeah,
had like somebody snapping like this, right?
yeah,
When will
yeah.
my heart? Yeah, that's a great song. Thank you for
That's
I'm
a
gonna
good.
put that on my playlist. Thank you for reminding me of that.
You're welcome.
Um, and buddy, this is a perfect time to take a quick break and thank our sponsor, TimeGenies.com. Hank, take it away.
Well, Time Genies is a wonderful concierge service that allows you to manage your life in whatever way you need help in your business, you need help in your personal life, you need help anywhere. Um, it is a wonderful business that allows you flexibility with things you want to do. Maybe you want more time with your family. Maybe you need more time on a project. Maybe you need more time, more hands to do something. Um, they're the ones that take care of it. And, I know them well. I know the owner well, and they are just wonderful people. And we appreciate them being on the mesh and wanting to be a part of it. So go. Do you? I think I have even a Time Genie pen sitting in front of me. If you go to www.time-genies.com, you can learn more about this service. So go check them out.
That's again, time-genies.com, your number
Got
one
them.
source for all your time organization. How about that, Hank? How about
I
that?
like that. You did good.
Thank you
Hey,
very much. Thank you, buddy.
I know you had something for me, and we can talk. Let's talk real quick about our weekend because we're rolling into a weekend that is kind of important, but is really weird this year. You know what that is? Fantasy football.
It's fantasy football weekend time, buddy. It's just 2 days away, Hank. Are you prepared? Are you ready? Do you feel like you put in your time and your research this year?
This is probably going to be my best year ever because I know nothing going into it.
That's so funny. Everybody I've talked to, and I'm the same way. Normally, I'll do a couple mock drafts or I'll read this or listen to that. I have done nothing, and everybody I talk to says the exact same. I guess because we're just kind of unsure if it's even going to happen. You know what I mean?
I don't think we're going to have it, but you know, we'll see. But yeah, I have done absolutely zero research.
Regardless if the season happens or not, we still need to have our draft, though, Hank. You can't take that. COVID can take a lot of stuff away from us, buddy, but do not let it touch this sacred fantasy football draft that we've had for the last 20 years.
How are we going to do Ring of Excellence every year if the people don't know the individuals that have won championships in the past? How many of you won, Chad?
I won my third one last year, Hank. I'm the
Okay,
champ
so
this year.
you've
Champ's it.
won 3, I've won 2, so we're multiple champions.
Yeah.
But, the Ring of Champions is we get to walk up to the front of the stage, we get to turn our backs on all the losers that have not won a championship and show them that we're superior to them,
Right.
and I just don't know if I wanna do that while social distancing.
Well, normally, we shake hands, we hug, we catch up on memories of being champion, of being what it takes to be a champion, while the losers just stare at us and cry. This year, it'll just be a little bit different. We still need to make sure we make a lot of fun of the losers, but we just not maybe no shaking hands, maybe not that many hugs. Let's just act really obnoxious, kind of social distancing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just to make sure that they know that we're far superior than they are. Correct?
sure. Thumbs up towards each other, maybe thumbs
Yeah.
down towards them.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, maybe I'll get a couple tomatoes and we can just throw it at them real quick or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I
Pretty
am
great.
not prepared for this draft, and, which is gonna be interesting 'cause, I'm gonna print stuff off. I'm gonna go in like, some of these drafts, I walk in, I'm like, "Oh, I've done so much research, and this 3rd tier back is gonna be my steal." I I'm when I get through pick 2, and this is no joke, I'm going to go with what is next on the list.
Yes, even though it might say Mike Vanderjack, kicker for the Indianapolis Colts from 2012, you're still going to go with that.
I will go with that drunk idiot kicker.
I love it. Yeah, if I were to ask you, I do owe the audience this, Hank, and I promised a little Frank Young, because he's a big fantasy football guy and he's an avid listener to our podcast, that we would talk a little bit about fantasy stats, maybe just 30 seconds. If I were to go through the top 5, would you know the top 5 that they're saying will go this year in the
I know
fantasy
that
football
I
drafts?
know that no, I wouldn't, but I would, I know Christian McCaffrey's one.
Yes. Frank, this is for you. It's McCaffrey 1, Saquon is 2.
2.
You
Yeah, I
got
knew that.
Zeke Elliott 3.
Oh,
You got
mhm.
Dalvin Cook 4. And you've got Michael Thomas, wide receiver, New Orleans Saints 5.
Where's
So,
Kamara?
it's a flip flop. Kamara's 5, Michael Thomas 6, or 5, 6 if you flip flop them. But the 4
Okay.
for sure were up to Cook. And then after that, it kind of gets a little, you can
Well
go any direction you want to go.
well, Dalvin Cook too, he's got a holdout scenario too, doesn't he?
He's playing. I think this is his contract year. So,
Okay.
he needs to have a good year to get them big bucks. The other interesting thing, last year's quarterback diamond in the rough was Lamar Jackson. He's the first quarterback going off the board in round 2, and Patrick Mahomes, quarterback of the century, is going in round 3 in most of these mock drafts. So, little Frank, that's for you, buddy. Just do your research. You want to get a running back first, I would say. Round 1, try to get your running back, and then fill in the pieces as the draft progresses. Hank, I look forward to it. We meet on Saturday at 3:30 for our annual pre-draft cornhole championship, where we pair up in twos, talk a lot of bull, try to win the trophy for best cornhole player of the draft group, and then right after
Mhm.
that, we jump right into our draft this year. Should be an excellent time, especially because I'm the champ. And so I can make fun of it, whomever I want. I can drink as much as I want. I can eat. I'm the first person to get to eat like baby okras. They're making a special menu for me, baby okras and baby corns, Hank. I didn't know if you knew that. And so I'm going to have just my little plate of snacks there. Oh, it's just going to be a wonderful, wonderful day this
It
Saturday, Hank.
sounds like it. I am going to be late to the cornhole
What?
because I am coaching our final baseball tournament, and it's in Charlotte. So if we play at 8 and 11, then I should be back. But if we play at, I don't know, 1:30 and 3:30, I'm going to be a little bit late to the show.
Okay, well, get there as soon as you can. If you can't make it to the cornhole, just send Reagan over. She can fill your spot. She's probably a much better cornhole player than you are anyway.
No
So
doubt.
she'll sub for you, and she'll probably perform much better, I would guess,
I'm
than you.
sure.
Yes.
I'm sure. I'm sure
Hank,
she
I don't
will.
want to. I would hate to leave this podcast without just recognizing somebody who's very special to me, or actually a family is special to me, and I know that they're special to you. So this past week, I don't know if you heard this or not, but Mrs. Carolyn Miller, CO's wife who helped run the Foundation Center,
Yep.
she passed away. Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
Yeah, and so I thought we might end the podcast discussing, for our listeners who don't know what the Foundation Center, we talk about it all the time on this podcast, but it was a place where, junior high kids, high school kids, elementary school age kids could go. There was pool, there was tennis courts, there was basketball facility. There were just places that kids could hang so they would stay out of trouble. It just gave you a place to kind of kick it with your friends. You'd ride your bike to it. You'd go up and you'd walk through the front door. There'd be like 8 video games, ping pong tables, pool tables there, a little place where you could get a suicide drink and a hot dog or maybe a candy bar. I mean, it would be a place where you felt safe as a kid. You always knew it was going to be open and there'd be somebody there that you could shoot the bull with, play 21 with, go swim some laps with, hit some tennis with. There was always somebody there. So anyway, the matriarch of the center, she passed away this week, and I wish her family. I sent our condolences to her and her family. It was a piece of Hickory tradition that, even though it's not there now in the same format, it's now the Hickory YMCA. It will always be the Foundation Center in our hearts. So, with that, Hank, is there one memory of the Foundation Center that really sticks out above the others when you think
There's
about that wonderful place?
there's two things that I remember, and one is kind of a funny one. One is just more now. So we were there, and I remember Jason Needles and Brian Kitchen, two guys that were 2 years older than me, and
Yep.
I was probably in sixth grade, and I was at the center every day. I feel like, like most other kids, every day. And you would go from playing basketball to swimming, and then you dry off and you'd come back in and play ping pong, and then you go back up and shoot, and then do whatever. And I remember we went back up and we're playing, and as the greatest thing about the center was a sixth grader would play with ninth graders. I
Right.
mean, if you would better learn how to play because you were going to play. And it was great because I remember those two guys being just all in each other's face, and they wanted to fight. So they took it outside, and CO followed them. And once CO got outside, he said, "You're not fighting on this property because I'm not going to be responsible for it." So what did he do? He ushered us over to the cemetery, and we jumped over. And I don't know if I've told this story on this or not, but we jumped over the creek on the other
I
side
was
of the
there.
creek. We
I was
got
at
into the
that
cemetery.
fight.
We were at the cemetery, and he said, "All right, have at it." And he let those two boys punch each other until one fell on the ground. He stopped it. He got them both up. He made them shake hands, and he said, "Let's go inside and have a suicide." And all
That's right.
walked back into the center, and there was a lesson learned right there. And I think Kitchen's mom came in, and she was like, "What happened?" Or Needle's mom came in, and he didn't sugarcoat anything. He said exactly what happened, and that was the kind of guy he was. He was kind of a, I mean, he was just there all the time, and I loved the center, and I loved my time there, and that's why I think I got asked. I'm a co-chair for a capital campaign that's going on there right now, and I know it's the YMCA, but really and truly, I feel like it's my like purpose in this committee to paint a picture about what that property meant. I started
Mhm.
off when I give a talk to a small group when we're together, and I always start it with, "I bet you I hit my first baseball there. I bet you I hit my first jump shot there, and I bet you I kissed my first girl there." And
Absolutely.
every lesson. I know I got my heart broken first there. I remember that I was in the second table downstairs, and Huff was probably laughing at me. But you know, there's a lot to that property that means a whole lot to me. And but that fight over there was more about. It wasn't about like, oh, I hit a game winning jumper or did something like that, because a lot of those did happen. But it was more along the lines of there was you got life lessons there.
Life lessons. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you mentioned it wasn't just about sports. It was these life lessons. I went to my first dance there. My
Oh
first
yeah,
dance. I'm a dancer, and that's the first real dance that I went to was there. There was a place called the Teen Room. I don't know if I'm sure you remember the Teen Room. It was a
sure.
place where it had TV and a bunch of like sofas and some chairs that. So after you played ball, and then, if you just wanted to sit around and talk with your friends, we would rarely even have to put the TV on. We were our own entertainment. We would go down there and talk about girls, or we talk about the Cosby Show that we saw the night before. One of my favorite memories is my friend Casey was dating this girl named Amanda, and Amanda was talking about New Kids on the Block and how really cute the little Jordan was from New Kids on the Block. And Casey was like, "You think he's cute, huh?" And she was like, "Yeah, he's really cute." And he broke up with her because she thought Jordan from New Kids on the Block was cute. These things can only happen in 8th and 7th grade. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Those are the
yeah.
things that
Casey's
would
got a
happen.
mental. He's got a mental block though.
Yeah, Casey's weird. But anyway, those things I would never forget. It's just sharing those stories and those memories while you're in the teen room with your buddies, and you're talking about school. You're talking about all the stuff that kids that age should be talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was a great place.
what a place. What a place. So
Yeah,
this podcast is in memory of the Foundation Center and of the Miller family. They did so much for just thousands of kids that you can't even put it into words. Yes. All right, Hank. Well, that's what I've got today, my friend. Anything else you got up your sleeve?
I've heard so much good things about people loving that segment on getting to know Chad. I just have just a handful of quick, just things that we need to learn about you. Are you ready?
I'm ready, Hank. Born ready.
Everybody loves this. Everybody's been talking about how they're getting to know more about Chad, and I think I love it. Okay, we're going to go through them quick. Okay,
go for it.
What's the next big thing?
The Dingle Dangles, my band, releasing their debut album next November.
Okay. What is the most useless major in college?
I hate to say this. Sculpting.
Sculpting. What job doesn't exist but should?
Oh, God, these are tough. Professional food truck food taster. Travel to
Okay.
food truck. Let's rank them.
Okay. What job would you be absolutely horrible at?
Time genies.
What,
I'm so disorganized with my time, so I would not be a good time genie by any means.
what movie has everyone else seen but you haven't?
Oh, this is good. This is good. I have never seen in its entirety The Big Lebowski. I think everybody's seen that movie. I have not seen that movie. Is that weird?
That's tough. Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
What is the most badass quote from a real person you know of?
From a real person. Meaning like not a star or athlete, but just somebody that, we just hang out with.
Sure.
Is that what we're talking about?
At this point, I just want you to give me a quote.
How about there's a quote that actually it's a poem that I really like to think in my head a lot. It goes, "Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light." Meaning, don't do anything just half. Live like it is your last day. It's your last day on earth. That's how you should live your life. And that's how you should attack or face anything that you do in life. And I know it's hard, but if you try to live by that, do not go gentle in that good night. Don't tiptoe to it. Go at it with 110%. And if you can do
I think
that,
you just made that up, but we're moving on. Which historical figure wins the award for being most hardcore?
historical figure most hardcore, I'm going to give it to George Washington. That dude was a bad A.
Okay. Okay. And the last question. When you've been with a person and thought you were equals, but then discovered they were on a whole different level, when have you been with that person?
It's never happened. I mean, it might happen
Oh,
to somebody who's been around me that they think, oh, we're kind of equal, and then they realize all the, the stuff that I can do and do very well, and they say, whoa, I'm in the wrong league here. But it's never
mhm.
been the other way around. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. Well, hey, listen, you lived past, they're getting harder and harder, Chad. We just got to go a little bit deeper and find out who you are. So we had to go a little bit further.
Yes, and I'm kidding. I hope the listeners know I'm kidding. I'm really not this egotistical. It's just fun for the radio, right, Hank?
Sure.
Everybody knows
Sure.
this, right?
Sure. We know this. We know this.
Right. Thank you, Hank.
You
Thank you.
know.
Those are great
Well,
questions. They've really got the thinking cap turned on to 10 right there, Hank. Well done, sir. Well
just
done.
just keep every week we're going to come back and we're just going to learn a little bit more about Chad.
Love it. I love it. I think the audience deserves that, just to kind of peer into this huge brain of mine. Soul,
Okay. Okay.
large soul, kind
That
soul.
seems about right. Well, I will tell you that I have enjoyed this episode, but it's time to cut it short. And thank you, Time Genies, for allowing us this opportunity and giving your time and energy in helping those individuals kind of get their time together.
Yes, I could use your help, Time Genies. I will probably reach out to you at your website, time-genies.com, and maybe we can discuss some organization help for my entire life, because I'm just juggling too many balls right now. I'd also like right now, Hank, to thank the Mesh, the studio itself that puts this podcast on. We've been a proud, a proud part of the talent for years now, and they are bringing more mad talent to the channel every day. Kathleen Madigan, a comedian who is she's world renowned. Is that correct? She is known all over for her humor. Is now a member of our podcast. You also already know that John Reap, he's a member of our channel. Of our channel. And then there's great musical acts that are part of our channel. We have some informational, educational podcasts. A lot of cool stuff going on with the Mesh every day, and it's just getting better. So you guys don't just listen to the Big Fan. Also check out the other great podcasts on our channel.
Good work.
Thank you, Hank. All right, guys. Thank you, Big Fan fanatics. We'll look forward to talking with you in the next 2 weeks. Until then, please stay safe. Please stay healthy. If your kids are in school, be patient with them. This remote learning is going to take all of us a little time to get used to. Just be patient with them. Because it's going to be a little difficult at first, but we'll all get through it. So, Tank, I'll see you on Saturday. Listeners, we'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Peace.